Have you ever wondered how Roblox anime games become so successful? Where in this video I'm going to be giving you the secrets to making a Roblox anime game popular. Now without further ado, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's get straight into the discussion. Exhibit A, the project style of graphics. Most Roblox anime games before the year of 2020 really didn't have to worry too much about graphics and such, but now there's a standard to how great your graphics must be. Let's look at Project Slayers for example, the most popular Roblox Demon Slayer game. It has very impressive graphics, and from the start you can see how polished they are. This catches the audience immediately when your graphics are vibrant and aesthetically pleasing to the eye, which in turn keeps people engaged with your game. If your graphics are flat and are less saturated, most of the time people are turned off by this, unless your gameplay is amazing like Deep Woken for example. Good graphics excuses a lot of games that have bad gameplay, and for most people they actually would rather have a game with good graphics over good gameplay. People had this particular opinion when Arcane Odyssey was released. Many people said the game looked bad and old, and lots of people didn't play it due to this. Now if Arcane had project style graphics, I promise you it would be a more popular game because it's a trend. It's a very easy way to gain players quickly on release. Another game that came out that did this was Project Mangetsu, a Bleach game that followed behind the footsteps of Project Slayers. Notice how Project Mangetsu and Project Slayers have very similar aesthetics and design. Well, this is what attracted most people to Project Mangetsu in the beginning. We all knew that this game had bad progression, but the graphics is what saved it from dying immediately. I mean, it's pretty dead now, but that's because of an entirely different reason. Graphics are an important component to Roblox anime games now, and devs must consider how their game looks before releasing. This is why more games are starting to go for this project style of graphics. It started with Grand Peace Online, a Roblox One Piece game that shook up the whole scene in 2020. And we have come to realize that GPO really wasn't that special of a game now that more games have come out and showed that anyone could copy its graphics and progression. Because imagine if GPO didn't have good graphics, it would probably be dead in the water. That's why I believe eye-catching project style graphics is a powerful tool that is being used to create hype and make a game very popular when it's released to the public. But how do you keep your players after you show them great graphics? And that leads me to my next point. Exhibit B, fair and fun combat systems. Combat in any game in general is important, but in Roblox anime games it's even more so. The reason combat is so important is because it's the core of your game. If the combat feels bad, 9 times out of 10 people will not enjoy your game, no matter how good it may look or how immersive it is. Now let's look back at Arcane Odyssey again. For example, the game had an amazing progression and storyline in my opinion, but many felt it was flawed by having an older style of combat, so many didn't like this, so therefore quit the game before reaching max level. Even though Arcane is one of the most immersive games out there, the combat not being up to par is what made the game essentially lose potential long-time players. But a game like ABA or Deep Woken thrives with this combat system because it has become familiar with the players and encourages you to get better. That's why the games have players for so many years and so long and never drop below 1k players. Another game that pioneered a new style of combat is Grand Peace Online. Grand Peace Online, although didn't have a perfect combat system, many felt as if GPO is the best you can get at that time. But still, GPO combat system inspired many other games to go and try it. Another game that has a combat system many people enjoy is Project Slayers. Although it has a lot of bad balancing in Project Slayers, many look past it because of its simple and easy combat mechanics the game has. Your game essentially has zero chance if the combat feels either too unfair or otherwise clunky. Many developers try and fail with combat, and this is why most games die when the combat is not up to par. I can say most people in the Roblox anime community truly don't care about balance. I mean, look at ABA for example. But it is still important to have a meta that is healthy for the game, or at least have things to counter a strong meta. If a game has 1 or 2 abilities that are super strong, this makes a ton of people run the same builds. This can make the game's PvP become quite boring after a while when you're going against the same characters and playstyles. So it's important to add all different types of ways to play and have fun. Always remember, if something stays too broken for too long, it will kill your player count. Balancing may not be as important, but it is still an integral part to any successful game on the platform. Exhibit C, an addictive progression and endgame. Most anime games fall under the RPG style of gameplay, so progression is very important no matter if it's a bandit beater or has a storyline type progression. If your game has boring progression or is not worth the grind, you will notice players drop dramatically. Let's look at Bloxroot, a game that many people claim has an addictive progression system. I personally strongly disagree with this, but I digress. The reason it is so popular is because of how simple it is to obtain items and power within the system. All you have to do is beat the same NPC you want in order to obtain the money for the fruit you want. This simple way of getting stronger is the reason why some people still play it regardless of its repetitive nature. Since Roblox is made of mostly young kids and young teenagers, this style of progression is perfect for the majority of people on the platform. But it's really hard for Bloxroot to attract an older audience because of how repetitive it can be. But Bloxroot had a choice: either go with the minority, which is older people, or go with the majority, which is younger people. And as you can see from the player count, I think they chose correctly. There's also a decent amount of in-game stuff to do as well and get stronger, which keeps people playing for longer. Let's look at another game that has an addictive progression system to many. Project Slayers. This game basically has the most simple way to progress out of any Demon Slayer game. You just beat up bandits, beat final selection, then you go around rotating and killing bosses in the game for drops. A very simple way to keep people playing, but it's actually masterful. By making people gain incentives to keep fighting bosses, this will keep them playing your game for longer. The only major issue with Project Slayers is how boring it can get fighting the same bosses over and over. The reason this isn't a problem is because of the fact that Project Slayers is the best out of any of the Demon Slayer games of Roblox. A game that has terrible progression, however, is Project Migetsu, which is why the game is now dead. Project Migetsu basically tried to do what Project Slayers did, but without the fun of it. They make you go through all the pain, but without the actual reward of completing that section of the game. So the grind doesn't feel worth it and feels like a waste of time, which is why the game lost players significantly, going from averaging 30k to less than 1k in less than a month. This is why having a solid progression system and decent endgame is good, because without at least two of these, your game will eventually lose long-time players, especially if your game has bad graphics and or combat. Exhibit D, consistently good updates. No doubt about it, one of the biggest reasons Roblox anime games die is due to the lack of content and or updates. When a game is being updated, it's consistently being able to average a decent amount of players without falling off. The reason games like Project Migetsu, Anime Showdown, Wisteria 2 all died this year is due to the games releasing with little to no content. So if you know you're going to release a game with zero content, the least you could do is update it consistently. Not just consistently, but actually adding good content that pushes the game forward. But not all updates are good updates. I'm sure the GPO community can attest to that. Most developers think that they can leave their game for months without updating. Yes, some can, like GPO, Project Slayers, or Deep Woken, but those games actually had a solid amount of innovation and are arguably the best in their respective groups. Basically, I'm telling most devs to stop thinking that your game is better off sitting months inactive. You are better off releasing the game than supporting it for months after. You make more money that way anyway, but hey, it's your bag, not mine.
This nigga's spitting right now.
Updates are a very big part to how long a game may live and how many players will play your game for a long time. I mean, look at Project Slayers. It dropped a 1.5 update and went crazy in numbers, now averaging close to 100k every day since its release. The update is not even good, but since the content in the game is serviceable for many, people just don't care. Exhibit E, be different from others. Having no competition for your game means that people have no choice but to play your game or be bored. The secret to getting your game instantly popular and on the front page is by trying something new and doing something different that no one else does, instead of doing what most devs do and copy what's popular. Make a game based on an anime that doesn't already have a game tied to it that's currently popular. If you do this, you are bound to get fans who love that anime to try your game. Many people will love an actual good My Hero game or a Villain Saga game, hell, even a decent Naruto game besides Shindo. If you take advantage of the market being dry in that specific category, you can find yourself having a huge success on your hands. It's a secret most developers somehow don't follow because they want to chase trends instead of making actual good games. Be different and be unique and you will have no competition. Exhibit F, make your game on all platforms. This is a no-brainer. The more people who can access your game, the more people who can play it. I see tons of developers neglecting putting their games on mobile or Xbox, and it's honestly a big mistake. You have a higher chance of having a successful game if it's on all platforms as opposed to only having it on PC. Mobile is literally the most popular platform, so why wouldn't you put your game on there? I know optimization can be an issue, but it's Roblox. Tons of developers have found a way and are successful because of it. Stop limiting yourself in your game. One final statement to future developers and or current developers: be passionate. If you have no passion for your game, you will most likely get bored of developing it and lose out on tons of money in a community. Most devs chase cash, but don't realize in order to do this, you must be passionate about your work and build a community instead of trying to be the next Blockstreaks. Some devs get discouraged because their game isn't on the front page, but as long as you are happy and passionate, that shouldn't even bother you. It should encourage you to get back to the drawing board and make something worthwhile. An important lesson to learn is that everyone's path is different. It's like a graph, always going up and down, but always remember your time will come eventually. All these famous developers started somewhere, and it all started with an idea. Be the next you, not anyone else. But as I say in every video, if you guys enjoyed this video and you like some more content like this one, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.